What has it been like returning to Comic-Con and getting to see your fans and address them from the Hall H stage?
Surreal. Like, it is impossible to be immune to the fact that we came here 5 years ago. We were bribing people with food to get them into that audience or an audience in a hall. And to be here 5 years later is just like, honestly, I don't work in an industry where meritocracy is as applicable or relevant as I would like, but it is a situation that is an anomaly to a degree that feels like, God, sometimes you can put in work that yields results, that correlates to the amount of effort that you put into it, and that's not always the case. So this is pretty surreal and pretty magical and unique, and I wish it wasn't as unique as it is, but it is, so I'm not taking a second for granted.
Starlight really puts in the work in season 4. What was it like doing scenes with yourself and fighting yourself?
Interesting. So basically, I always look at it from the character's perspective and what will make it work the most in that moment. And both characters are not looking at it from the perspective of working with themselves. You know, like the shapeshifter is not Annie, and Annie is not the shapeshifter. So from the shifter's perspective, I'm not looking at Annie like that's me. So I didn't work with myself. I knew what I was going to do, but I worked with like a body double or an acting double, Amelia, who's amazing, who would emulate what I was going to do. But I had to not project into the future and look at this other entity as myself. So I think it was the trip was like the amount of work it took to differentiate the characters enough to make it just like. Here's the thing, it's ultimately a metaphor for identity crisis. And that, for me, for Annie, is something that I will never not do my best to do justice. In terms of her storyline, that's all I want to do, is I want to portray it as best I can. So that requires going the extra mile in terms of preparation, in terms of everything I can do to carve out every granular detail that will make the two be different and will make this storyline come to life as best it can. So it was challenging, but ultimately I didn't look at it from that perspective.
What was it like having Annie be an official member of The Boys this season?
I mean, we've all been waiting for it, right? It was so good. It was so much fun. Also, I'm not going to lie, like, I love my supersuit. I love it. It's beautiful. It's like the most brilliantly made supersuit, or these are the most brilliantly made supersuits I've ever seen. And our costume designer, LJ, is an artist. However, wearing art every day lends itself to a hyper-awareness that meant that being in The Boys was not just liberating from a character's perspective, but from Erin's perspective. It was like very comfortable. So all around it was great.
Heading into the final season, how do you think or hope this all ends for Annie?
Honestly, okay, so I look at the previous season and I look at the situation with the Deep, which was kind of brilliant because she gets to approach a situation where she gets to enact revenge on someone who is the person that is initiating and perpetuating violence to begin with. So she's not walking up to the Deep and throwing a punch. He is attacking her, and out of defense, she beats him down, and she beats him, and we have this cathartic, karmic moment that that I have been waiting for, that happens as a result of no moral or character deficits in Annie. I want to see her enact more revenge, and I want to see it in the way that she would do it, which is a situation that would entail her being put in an uncomfortable position, because she would never perpetuate violence in the way that like someone like the Deep would, obviously. But that entails us experiencing cathartic karma once again, because it does send this subliminal message out that basically says good guys sometimes do win. And I need that. I think we all do.
Throughout the seasons, your character has been a vessel of addressing these sort of real-world problems that women deal with, from sexual assault to also then the abortion storyline this past season. For you, what has the fan response been like to sort of spreading these messages via your character?
I think the most important thing for me has been to hear that people have felt less alone when watching these storylines be depicted, which is exactly why I became an actor to begin with. Like, I would watch things as a young girl, and I would feel lonely with certain issues I was feeling or going through. And I hope that it's made one less person feel lonely. Even if it happened for a millisecond, that's enough. And that feedback, whenever I get it, which has been, present, and it's been present enough to just feel like that in itself makes it worth it. And it's just a very lucky and awesome moment of connection that I feel like I get to benefit from, even though I'm not writing the material,
Eric announced the spinoff, Vought Rising, here at Comic-Con today. What are you excited to see in that spinoff?
Honestly, Aya Cash is so brilliant. Like, she is just the best person. She's a brilliant actress. I want to see her at large in this universe in some way. So the fact that that's happening, and then Jensen, of course, is not hard to look at, and he's a brilliant actor. So those two, it's like I'm going to be fan watching something that like came from my universe. And as an only child, I'm probably going to experience only child syndrome at first. But I'm so excited, and it's those two. It's the talent involved. It's Kripke, Jensen, and Aya. That team up is like unparalleled.
I mean, Annie's an only child. Are you one in real life, too?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I have two little half-sisters who are my sisters, but I was raised as an only child, and so I definitely suffer from that.
I'm an only child, too, so I am, yes.
Thing. Like, I have moments where I'm like, I don't know about that, and then moments where I'm like, oh, no, 100%. You can spot us in a crowd, I feel like, in certain moments, like the announcement of the spinoff.
How have you used that experience to, portray Annie, who's also an only child?
Oh, man. I mean, I try and use all my personal insights into what might make Annie more of a human. I feel like that's just my job, is to, like, find her nuances and make her breathe life in a way that you might not be able to see on paper. And so every personal experience I've had, be it being an only child, may infuse her in a way that I'm not even aware of, because I think about that and I'm like, okay, well, that's something I'm familiar with. Therefore, I'm going to focus on other areas to really get granular and really make sure that she is not dropping any moment in a very emotionally honest way. So I feel like it's something that I didn't think of as much as other areas of her life. And that's something that, like, is a testament to the fact that everything that you go through, whether it's hard, whether it's amazing and positive, you can use in a way that's, like, not to glorify the bad bits, but in a way that can kind of be beneficial for ourselves.